Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's March the 24th. This is Motivation Beyond Measure. I'm Brian Traskos, the president of Motivation Beyond Measure and co-creator of Sensation-Based Motivation Coaching. Thanks so much for being here with us again today for another flow shot in our flow shot series of how to build a really powerful and robust immune system. So to this point, we have gotten to the point where we've tuned the body. We've done body tuning practices over the last week. So hopefully you've done that already today because we are going now begin to start tuning the emotions. But we just do want to say that, well, let's just take a minute. Let's just take a minute again to just retune the body and to do some tuning with the breath, which is what we left off doing yesterday. So hopefully you've done this already a little bit today. Well, let's just do a shake or two, okay? Just kind of do this together so we're just kind of feeling into it. Hopefully we've already done a little bit of this, but let's just do a little bit of wiggling. We'll do a big deep breath. Kind of shake it off. And hopefully you've gone through that whole routine already. Okay, good. So now let's come on back here and come into a tuning of the breath. So find your feet on the ground. Your knees are relaxed. Feel your bottom on the chair. Allow your spine to come up nice and tall. And let's just for a moment pick up where we left off yesterday with some breath tuning. So as we're breathing, just notice the rhythm of flow of breath in and breath out. And consciously guide your breath to becoming more and more quiet, more and more quiet. And as we're sitting here and allowing your breath to become more and more quiet, see if we can't guide the exhalation to be longer than the inhalation. So allow the breath to return in, and then a long, slow, smooth exhale all the way out. We'd like to get the exhalation about twice as long as the inhalation. So just let the breath flow in at whatever rate it wants to flow in at, and then nice, long, slow exhale out. And allowing the breath to become a bit more quiet and smooth and fluid. Remember, when we're feeling stressed, when we're feeling anxious, when we're feeling turbulent in our emotions, our breath tends to become ragged and shallow. So we turn the affliction itself into medicine, which means using the breath to, when we slow the breath, when we calm the breath, when we deepen the breath, then our emotional state will follow and tend to calm itself down as well. So continue to breathe in this slow and fluid way as we begin to enter into the topic of today, which is the 5 resistance archetypes. So we spent the last week tuning the body. And remember that the body tuning is the very first click on the combination lock of reprogramming our entire immune system. And whereas the physical practices themselves are extremely helpful in boosting our immunity all by themselves, we must also recognize that simultaneously they're also incomplete. And we just want to mention too that as an aside, that nutrition and hydration, of course, are also very, very important in boosting our immune systems and optimizing our immune health. So let's just say that as well, because we do want to recognize that. Now, with those things said, we're now going to tuning our emotions. And what we want to say about emotions is that emotions are really sensations that we have thoughts about. In other words, emotions are sensations plus thoughts. Emotions are sensations plus thoughts. So emotions do have a mental component, if you will, because otherwise, how are we judging the sensations that we're experiencing, the sensations of fear, or the sensations of anger, or the sensations of sadness? These are sensations that we feel in our body, and then we have a mental compartmentalization about them. We categorize them, or we decide what they mean. So emotions, by definition, do have a mental component associated with them. So we like to say that emotions are sensations plus thinking. Now, we do know this also. If we have chronic physical tension in the body, now really hear me here, this is really, really important. If we have chronic physical tension in the body, then 100% of the time, we also have chronic emotional tension in our lives. They can never be separate from one another. If we're going through the body tuning practices that we've gone through for the last week, and tension still continues to crop up in the body, and it's like, I can't get this tension to go away, then there's also 100% of the time chronic emotional tension as well. That there's nothing, we're just gonna say there's no judgment around that, okay? Not like you're good or bad or right or wrong or up and down. That's just the way that it is. And that's the way that it is for all of us as human beings. So if we can just understand that from the base, then we can actually do something about it. If we can recognize that, oh my God, this chronic tension that I have in my neck, this chronic tension that I have in my back, this chronic tension that I have in my hips, there's an associative chronic emotional tension that goes along with that. So we just need to accept that as that's being what it is. And so this brings us to what we call the 5 resistance archetypes. So these are what we call emotional resistance archetypes. And we're going to go over the 5 of these over the next 5 days. These are the topics of the next five flow shots. Hey, Corey, welcome. Thanks for joining. I see that Corey's here with us. Awesome. So here they are. The very first archetype of emotional resistance is what we call the judge or judgment. And what do we mean by this? That when, oh, hi, Tina's here too, cool. So when something happens in the world and we respond to it by using judgment as a way to address it or approach it or meet that, whatever's happening in the world, whether it's a Facebook post, whether it's a conversation with a friend or a neighbor or a parent or a spouse, or whether it's something in the newspaper, or whatever it is that's going on, if we meet it with a sense of judgment, this is actually a form of emotional resistance. And the judgment is often associated with anger. There's a persistent anger that goes along with it. Like we see the same kind of Facebook post every day and we get angry every day. Or the same type of news report and we get angry every day. The same type of news article and we get angry every day. Or we have the same conversation with our spouse and we get angry about it every day. You get the point, I think. So this judgment, hey, Pop, welcome. So the judgment is the first primary resistance archetype, and it's often associated with a persistent anger. And this goes along with what we call a need to be right, where we have a need to categorize things as being either right or wrong. And oftentimes we make ourselves right and we make someone else wrong for whatever it is that's going on out there in the world. Now, we can also be the other way. We can also make ourselves chronically wrong and other people chronically right. This is also a form of using the judge as a form of emotional resistance. And when we experience judgment as an emotional resistance, we often have very polarized views of either right or wrong. And here's the thing, no matter what level of judgment, or rather, no matter what level of value you place on that judgment, the level of value doesn't matter. What matters is if you place any level of value on any judgment that you have, then this is going to cause reflexive muscle contractions in your body. It just will. That's what goes along with this. And the chronic muscle contractions in the body restrict the free flow of energy through your body. And so any judgment that we have about anything, and we have a persistent anger or persistent defensiveness to it, that will always be coordinated or associated with a restriction in the body. That chronic restriction in the body then causes all of the muscle tension that we just spent the last week trying to reduce in tuning our body and using our breath to tune it as well. So hopefully that's making sense. So it doesn't matter how much we tune our bodies, we can do that all day long. If we then go out in the world and have persistent persistent emotional resistances to things, in this case, we're talking about the judge, we just reinsert that tension in the physiology once again. And this is a massive block to us having the immune system that we really, really want to have in our lives, to really have full and complete immunity to the pathogens and the viruses and even their belief viruses, if you will, that exist within the world and within the universe. So we know that, harboring grievances and harboring resentments and harboring judgments about people, they only hurt us. They don't do anything to the person that we're directing them towards. They only hurt ourselves, and they're only sapping our own energy and our own sense of vitality. I wanted to share with you just really quickly from the book Vital Energy. I came across this chapter a couple days ago, or this passage a couple days ago. I want to share it with you. What David Simon is saying is that the door to change always opens from the inside. Squandering your life energy trying to break down another's point of view will inevitably create more resistance. That's what we're talking about. You may succeed in temporarily controlling the other's behavior, but the effort expended in trying to dominate the person will sooner or later exhaust you. Spending your energy defending your perspectives from someone else's onslaughts is equally fruitless. Relationships in which you repeatedly are in power struggles inevitably deplete both participants. So really, so he's saying what we're saying, and the way we're talking about it is that when you have the muscle contractions that are associated with any polarized judgment of right or wrong, any defensive judgment, it restricts our own energy flow in our body, which then will stop our lymph flow, our blood flow, our immune property flow, everything we've already talked about over the last week. So what are we going to do about judgment? Well, if there's any one cure for judgment, it's forgiveness. This is really what we want to consider. Forgiveness is the primary way that we approach any type of judgment. And this is such an interesting topic for people. So many people are, well, there's some things I just cannot forgive. I've heard this so many times from people before. There's some things I just cannot forgive. And that may be, however, that only means it's going to continue to hurt you. That's it. It just means it's continued to affect you in a negative way, no one else. So if you feel like, well, I must then find some way to forgive the grievances that I have or the resentments that I have or whatever it is that I'm holding, if I must find some way to do it, how do I do that? Well, there's actually a pretty simple recipe for it. And here's the recipe. We have to have more understanding. Understanding begets forgiveness. And how do we get more understanding? We seek clarity. We seek clarity through curiosity with compassion. We seek clarity through curiosity with compassion, which means we ask questions that offer answers. We don't seek curiosity with conviction. Curiosity with conviction is when we're asking questions specifically in order to nail somebody to the wall, in order to probe someone's weaknesses or inconsistencies, in order to put someone else in jail or to punish them. That's using curiosity with conviction. We all know what that's about, and we know that's not going to work either. And that's a huge, a really effective judgment tool. So people who have a high judgment archetype resistance will tend to use curiosity in order to punish or pin other people. That's not what we're talking about. We're using curiosity with compassion. So how do we use curiosity with compassion? We have to seek the truth. We have to seek the raw, honest truth. And we like to say curiosity, as you know, with compassion comes specifically with asking natural law questions, questions that are based in how the universe and how nature operate inherently in and of themselves. There are a whole bunch of different what we call natural laws: the law of polarity, the law of non-resistance, the law of rhythm, the law of relativity, and some others as well. So we have to learn how to ask these natural law questions. So, you know, if specifically you are looking to solve a forgiveness block within yourself so that you can have more freedom in your body and in your emotional state to be able to activate your highest immune potentials, if you're looking for some specific questions, I highly recommend you seek out a sensation-based motivation coaching professional. This is what they're trained to do. They're trained to help probe specifically into what's happening in your resistance patterns that ask you really good natural law questions to help you free up the things that have been binding you and disallowing you from stepping into not only greater aspects and understanding for yourself, but into your highest physical properties and your own best immune health. I will leave you though today with one natural law question that I find is particularly effective when we are dealing with forgiveness. And the question is, what are you not willing to let go of? If you're holding a grievance and you're holding resentment, my question is, what are you not willing to let go of? And when you can honestly answer that question, very honestly answer that question in a deep way, you've just taken your next step to relieving yourself of the emotional burden associated with the judgment resistance archetype. So let's just return to taking a few deep breaths. Smooth the breath out. Allow it to become quiet. Feel down into your body. Find a place of peace. And if this flow shot for Tuesday was helpful to you, please comment in the comment section. Please like it so that other people can find it too. And also please share it with a friend. We can use so much of this in this world right now of helping ourselves become not only our best selves, but help our community become our best community, and help our best global immunity grow to the place where we can handle everything that's going on with us, develop an extreme amount of resilience and compassion within ourselves as human beings. So I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Tomorrow's Wednesday, so I'll see you at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow. We will look into tomorrow, the second of the emotional resistance archetypes. Until then, have an amazing day. I look forward to talking with you in the chat, and peace, and see you tomorrow. All right, bye-bye.